May 6th is our actual birthday. 100 years ago on the 6th was the first performance at the Conservatorium, and we're going to be marking it this year with a grand performance of Leonard Bernstein's Mass at the Sydney Opera House. It's an international piece that is the perfect vehicle for us to celebrate this international institution.
The Con has always had a very special place for the people of Sydney as a musical institution, and also I think as an iconic architectural structure.
Verbruggen was a world-class violinist and conductor, and he left his position at the Royal Conservatory in Scotland to come here and found this brand new institution.
Verbruggen's role really was to try and take this kind of musical cottage industry and turn it into a musical culture, and you'd have to say he succeeded brilliantly.
And I think if he could look back today, he would see thousands of alumni that have graduated from this institution, and they're out carrying the flag for the University of Sydney and for Australia itself, all over the world.
The very first time I went to the Conservatorium was when I was about to start having lessons, and my original oboe teacher took me into a graduation performance. And of course, as a 14-year-old, it just about blew my brains out. I just thought the standard was so incredible. And I think that's what the Conservatorium always represented to me. It was the place of excellence. That was where I was going to aim for.
Here we go. 3, 4, 1.
The Con has always been a place for significant performances. Bach's B minor Mass, Holst's The Planets, Mozart's The Magic Flute. So it's highly appropriate that we're now giving a performance of Bernstein's Mass.
When we were talking about the Con centennial year, it was like an immediate reaction. Why Mass? Well, because it has always been considered a masterpiece of the 20th century. And it shows the entire breadth of talent that we have here. It embraces them all.
There are many things that will be unique about this performance, but I think the biggest thing is that it won't just be an orchestra performance, it will be a collaborative performance involving many units across the Conservatorium.
1 and 2.
In the opera department, we're used to working with the orchestra and putting on opera productions, but this one involves the jazz department, the orchestra, a boys' choir. It's just working with everyone.
You'll see over 400 students on stage that evening, students from the jazz program, from the classical program, from the opera program. There'll even be dancers there, and it will all be conducted by Eduardo Diaz-Munoz, who was a student of Leonard Bernstein's back in the 70s at Tanglewood.
I think the piece itself is very unconventional, really interesting. When I first looked at the score, I found it quite confronting, but ultimately really moving, and it'll be a great challenge to perform.
I play the celebrant in the Bernstein Mass, which is basically the motor that drives the entire show. And preparing a role like that takes a lot of practice because it's not so much operatic. There are operatic moments, but there's a lot of blues sort of music in there, jazz, plus there's dialogue. Dramatically, for me, that's really interesting as an opera singer, but the challenge obviously is trying to master these different styles.
We all just have a blast with this piece because it's so exciting, and it's not just singing, but it's a lot of bongos and kazoos and whistling, which we don't usually get to do.
It's been very fun. I've really enjoyed rehearsing it. It's one of those pieces which, when we put it together with the mass choir, it's going to sound awesome, and it's going to be one of those experiences that come along once in a lifetime.
I think for me what's most significant about the Concentenarium is the fact that for 100 years, young people such as myself have been able to study music in such a privileged place.
The reputation that the Sydney Con has all over the world is second to none. So for me, it's a massive, massive honour to be part of this concert. When I think of all the great singers that could have been there instead of me, I'm very, very humbled, to be quite honest.
I think that we're really lucky that we get to be part of such a great celebration, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience for us.